Hello and welcome to Business Insight, your one-stop show for anything business related, where we, help you make sense of the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the challenges as they play out in your industry or sector. I'm your host, Adesoa Iromosele, and today we'll be continuing from our yesterday's episode. We were talking about microfinancing. Yesterday, we started out yesterday and we spoke about remittance and money transfer. So if that's a topic you're interested in, you might want to watch our previous episode, which aired yesterday. Today, we'll also be touching on microfinancing, but this time around, we'll be looking at micro lending and its impact on the Nigerian economy. Yes, micro-lending and its impact on the Nigerian economy. And as always, we have a guest who is joining us virtually, and it is Suleiman Ibrahim, and he is an individual with 18 years banking experience, cutting across commercial, retail, and microfinancing. So, of course, he will be helping us do justice to this topic. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll be unveiling our guest. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Business Insight, and of course we have our guest now, Mr. Suleiman Ibrahim. Good morning and welcome to the show, Mr. Suleiman. Okay, we can't really hear you in the studio. You might want to turn up your volume so we can hear you. Okay, I think there is a little challenge with Mr. Suleiman's audio, and that would be rectified in due time. All right, but we'll just go on. Now, Mr. Suleiman, if you can hear me, could you give us a brief overview of the concept of micro-lending and, as we have it in Nigeria today? Okay, I think there is an issue with the audio. We would go on a quick break now and return. I'm sure by then the audio would have been sorted. Stay with us, please.
My name is Olatunji Shoti Miri. I'm a performing artist and, television radio presenter and a university lecturer, Unilag. Keep watching Souk News.
Hello everyone, my name is Kenny Black, Africa's finest music comedian, and you're watching Souk News. If you're not watching Souk News, I pity you, but keep watching Souk News.
Hello everyone, my name is Timida Kolo and you're watching Souk News. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Wisdom Oluwaseun Okoko, co-founder Orbit Africa Properties. I'm live at Souk News. Guys, keep watching Souk News. For everything that concerns business, economy, politics, news, Sook News is your station.
Hello, you're still watching Business Insight. We really do apologize for that break in transmission. I'm sure by now we have our guest, and he has joined us virtually already. Mr. Suleiman, are you on now? Good morning, Mr. Suleiman. Okay, if you can hear me, I would like for you to give us an overview of the concept of micro-lending as we have it here in Nigeria today. Can you hear me, please? Okay, very well. We're still having issues with our connection to Mr. Suleiman. Okay, his audio is having some trouble, so we'll just go on with the show. Basically, micro-lending talks about the lending of money to people who otherwise cannot afford to get loans from traditional banks. Of course, like small income earners, people who are, traders, small or medium scale enterprises who cannot typically afford to pay collateral in traditional banking systems, they can then afford to basically patronize or get loans from this micro lenders, and of course to do whatever it is they want to do with it for business purposes, definitely. So of course there are so many areas of this topic to look at, and that is what we are to look at basically. One of the issues we have here from research, of course, based on statistics, as of 2022, about 39.9% of the adult population excluded from financial services, and about 40.1% of the Nigerian populace living below poverty level. Yes. About 40.1% of the Nigerian populace are living below the poverty level, and of course these are the set of people who are eligible for micro loans. right? One of the questions we'll be asking our guest today is the fact that to give us insight into what requirements would be demanded of people who intend to borrow from micro lenders, so that we can have an understanding of the way the system works. Okay, and of course, are there types of micro loans, like emergency or asset-based loans that have emerged as particularly effective in addressing certain challenges faced in the Nigerian community? So these are the questions we'll be asking our guests when we connect. Let's go on another break. By the time we return, hopefully he would have connected. Stay with us, please.
We shouldn't leave the child to only one parent to bring up, whether it's the mother or the father. The child needs both parents. I want to talk about fathers because I made a post given that Father's Day just passed. In the post, I said that fathers are the unsung heroes in our lives. And a lady who saw the post asked me why I was admitting that fathers are unsung heroes. Why wouldn't they come forward to be recognized and to be celebrated as heroes in our lives? So I asked her what exactly she meant by that. And her response jolted me. And she said, fathers just content with paying fees, providing upkeep money, but very absent in the lives of their children. So I asked her, what could we do to be more present? And she gave very few suggestions. For instance, taking your child to school once a week. And in that ride, there's so much you share with your child that helps you to bond and to understand that child better. Prioritizing your child on their important milestones, because those milestones don't come twice. Being there when they need you, for instance, advice about their first job. We shouldn't leave the child to only one parent to bring up, whether it's the mother or the father. The child needs both parents. It needs different things from each of the parents. So fathers, please let us not be the unsung heroes in our children's lives. Let us come forward and also be celebrated as heroes in our children's lives.
Welcome back. You're still watching Business Insight. We apologize yet again for the break in transmission. It was due to some unforeseen issues beyond our control. Now, I'm sure we have our guest. We have our guest on standby now. I hope so. And it goes by the name Suleiman Ibrahim. And he is an individual with 18 years banking experience, cutting across commercial, retail, and microfinancing. Welcome to the show, Mr. Suleiman, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Finally, perfect. Thank you very much. Now, could you give us a brief overview of micro lending as we have it in Nigeria today?
Well, micro lending, it's one of the products being provided by microfinance institutions. It's basically provision of small loans to small business owners and individuals. Usually these products, like I said, are provided by microfinance institutions. So it's good to understand what are these microfinance institutions. Essentially, microfinance institutions are those financial institutions that provide financial services to low-income individuals and organizations who are typically excluded by traditional banks. The reason why these group of people are excluded essentially is they lack the documentation required to establish relationship with traditional banks. So usually there is that gap existing in that market, and the microfinance institution comes in to fill those gaps. So we can say micro lending is one of those services that the microfinance institution provides to those people that are at the bottom of the pyramid. I don't know if you can hear me.
As a professional in this space, how would you say micro lenders can further tailor the support of job creation in Nigeria and also foster a more entrepreneurial spirit amongst the Nigerian populace by way of, helping to basically alleviate poverty in the nation?
Well, microfinance institution can alleviate poverty through job creation by providing that finance that is lacking in that space. Like I said, those at the bottom of the pyramid usually have difficulty in accessing financial services from the traditional banks. So when microfinance institution comes in, they provide that financial services in terms of loan, and by so doing, they are enabling entrepreneurs at that level to open businesses and by extension create employment and empower such people economically. Traditionally banking as it is, usually that's traditional banking usually concentrate on the structured businesses, those that have documents, those that have financial reports, those that have audited financials and the rest. But people at the bottom of the pyramid don't usually have those requirements. I mean, it is not part of their characteristics essentially. So they are very fluid, they are very unstructured, they are not, in most cases, they are not educated. So you find traditional banks find it extremely difficult in dealing with them and providing, extending financial services to them. So, but when the microfinance institution comes in through provision of these micro loans, they essentially are empowering them, and they enable them to open businesses and generate employment. So essentially, that's how microfinance, micro loans, microcredit can actually enhance economic empowerment and job creation at the bottom of the pyramid.
Now, from my own little research and based on statistics from 2022, which was available, about 39.9% of adult population are excluded from financial services, and about 40% of the Nigerian populace, are living below the poverty level. So now, of course, these are the set of people the micro lenders, help. Micro lending schemes are set up to to help people who cannot get loans from traditional banks, typically. Now, how do this micro lenders, figure out the set of people to borrow? How do they really help them? How do they basically assess this set of people to know those who are eligible for these loans?
Loans. Well, when by location of that is physical location of the microfinance institution, mostly they are located in semi-urban, even though there are some in the urban areas, but mostly their target market are people that do small businesses. When we are talking about people that have maybe a monthly turnover of, say, maybe 50,000, 100,000, those are regarded as small businesses. You understand? Those are the people that usually they target. Uh, and those people, bear in mind, they are not structured, so they have to really understand their nature of businesses before they even conduct risk assessment on how to extend those credits to them. So essentially, the microfinance institution will have, say, for instance, cooperatives that comes with small business ideas that maybe may not be registered, or maybe just registered as a cooperative or as an sole proprietor businesses, but with low turnover. So they conduct their risk assessments, and when they see they meet those risk criteria, they pass the risk criteria, they extend the services, those financial services to them. But essentially, when you see a small business, definitely we're talking about people that operate really at the bottom of the economy. For instance, those people that are selling, they are carousellers, the small man that have a small kiosk, the vulcanizers, the artisans. Those are really the target market of those micro lenders. So it is based on their regulations now, set of course by the supervisory agency, which is the CBN now. Once they subject them to those tests and requirements set by CBN, and once they pass, they give them those loans. But you have to know that you have to understand that it is a very uh, fluid and high. There's a very fluid and high rate of default in such sectors. So microfinance institutions need to be very careful in extending loans to this set of customers, because a vulcanizer can just pack up and change address or change location or even fold the business without much stress. So these are the kind of things that micro lenders need to look at for before they extend such services to them.
Okay. I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because of course we know that some people will definitely default. That's speaking to the credit worthiness. How do you know an individual is credit worthy, and what is the penalty for not paying back these loans? Let us hear that.
Well, the penalty usually, the loan itself, it's not secured in most cases in this micro lending or microfinance sub sector, because part of the things they don't have is the collateral which are required by traditional banks. So because of that lack of collateral, most of the loans given by micro lenders are free of collateral. So in case of default, recovery becomes a very great issue to the micro lenders. You understand? Then for the penalty and default, usually the interest rates maybe will change to a higher rate from what is approved. Then another penalty could be that those that guarantee those loans will now be made to pay on behalf of the defaulters. You understand? So these are the risky nature of lending in that sector. So, but really, there is high rate of default, and in fact, it is one of the major challenges faced by micro lenders in the industry here in Nigeria, because as a result of this high rate of default, most of the micro lenders are folding up. You find out very easily, microfinance bank will be shut down, and the license will be withdrawn by CBN. Recently, I think mid of last year, about 24 or so, if I'm not mistaken, microfinance banks were closed down by CBN. And largely, the reason is not more than high default rate of their loan portfolios. So we find out, despite the credit analysis, I mean, the risk mitigants taken, they still exists high rate of defaults, and at the end of the day, it threatens the existence of those microfinance banks. Once the rate of default is high, is beyond the CBN permissible level, such microfinance bank will have to get closed, and the license withdrawn. So yes, there is a high default rate, but unfortunately for the lenders, there is not much that can be done in terms of penalty or recovering the bad loan from the defaulters. The best they could do is maybe get the guarantors of those facilities to see if they can pay or recover those loans from the guarantors.
Now you've highlighted that as a challenge, the defaulting of borrowers. Now, are there any other challenges you would highlight, you know, that hinder the effectiveness of micro-lending scheme in Nigeria?
There are quite a few other challenges that have been faced by the micro lenders themselves. First, we talk about the inadequacy of capital. Mostly the microfinance banks don't have enough capital to satisfy the need of their customers. You find out that a microfinance bank with about 50, I think the least license is for 50 million, and the highest is 5 billion. So if you look at the country economy like Nigeria, where we have 200 million people, and a good percentage of that are in the lower strata of the economy, where they need this financing, you find out that even the highest license in microfinance institution, which is 5 billion, will not be adequate. And we have very few of those microfinance institutions that are national microfinance banks. And so you find out there is really inadequacy of capital. Secondly, we talk about the heavy transaction cost. You find out that for every branch of a microfinance bank, even if it's just one unit microfinance, one branch microfinance bank, you find out they have to provide their own electricity. And we're talking about the cost of energy now, the petrol, maybe diesel, you know, I mean, the cost is high. So that cost, that amounts to high cost of, you know, providing those services to their customers. Then also we have mountain loan losses. Like we said earlier, we find out the high rate of default. It's a major challenge faced by microfinance institutions. Then also in the industry, you find out there is no capacity and the technical skill in the microfinance lenders. Mostly the workers are poorly trained. They don't even know and understand the concept of what microfinancing is. So they provide poor services. And in fact, most times they deviate from their core businesses and encroach on the businesses of traditional banks. You find out that most of them, what they do is basically money lending. They lend money against salary of say civil servants, maybe those working in the private sector too. These are not microfinance really the services that ought to be provided. So these are the things I think that are major challenges that have been faced by microfinance institutions presently.
All right, Mr. Suleiman, now let's look at the operational aspect of this. Of course, we know that, you know, micro lenders, you know, basically help those who cannot afford to really get loans from typical traditional banks. Now, what is the interest rate like compared to that of traditional banks?
rate of microfinance banks are usually way higher than the traditional banks. And it is, I think, understandably so, because the higher the risk, they said, the higher the returns. You know, these customers in the microfinance sector are very fluid. They are very unstructured. I mean, you may find out they don't even have permanent and verifiable address. You give a person a loan today, and you look for him next month. He's not there. He's no longer there. So the risks are high, and because of that, they put in high interest rate. I may not be able to give you exact interest rate they charge now, but what I can assure you, it's interest rate is way higher than what commercial banks are charging. I know commercial bank charges maybe up to like 30 or so percent at the moment, or maybe even higher. But you find that microfinance banks charge way higher than what the traditional banks charge.
Different types of micro loans. Do we have asset-based loans as well? I mean, just give that to us. Let's have an idea. You know, when it comes to the effective way of addressing the challenges that come with this sector. Are there other types of loans that can be given out besides money?
It's not just about giving microfinance. It's not just about giving money. You know, there are other types of loan and financial services to offer. For instance, you have the individual loans, which, for instance, is like you give the money. Then you have the group loans, where you get people come in as a cooperative. Maybe you register, they get registered. Then you give them the loan as a group. You know, the loan will be disbursed like to their group account, to their cooperative account. Then from there, each and every individual will get his own or her own share of the loan. And in repayment, the leader of the cooperative will ensure that all members pay back to the cooperative account. Then the bank, the microfinance institution, now will recover from the, what you call it, the cooperative account. Then, of course, there is loan for restocking shops, for instance. That is like maybe you want to have a shop or a kiosk you want to restock. Instead of giving the customer a loan, I mean cash, to go and buy the stock, the microfinance bank will now buy the stock on behalf of the customer and give those stock to the customer to sell and repay its loan. Then also another service that can be provided by the bank, although it is not a core service of microfinance bank, that is assets financing. You find that some of the strong microfinance bank, they can finance assets like motor vehicles, motorcycles, you know, to their customers, which can now be repaid instrumentally over an agreed period of time. But like I said, this should not be seen as a core business of microfinance institutions. The core business of microfinance institution is lending to those people that are doing small businesses, like for instance, the akara seller, the mama put operator, the vulcanizers, and other artisans of that nature. So essentially, that is these are some of the products that a microfinance bank can extend to its customers.
All right. So now, what are your thoughts, you know, on the current regulatory environment for microfinance in Nigeria? Are there any changes or reform that you would recommend to further strengthen the sector?
Yes, for regulations, I think we know what how our economy is now. I mean, the capital of what 50 million used to do before, which is like the least license you can get for a microfinance bank. It's not the same thing what 50 million can do in Nigeria of today. So just like there are discussions ongoing to see whether the um, capital base of commercial banks will be reviewed upwards. Most likely, the license of microfinance banks to should be considered to be reviewed upwards. Although I know this may be a tough pill to swallow because it has been done recently, and because of that new policy, many microfinance institutions had to go under. Some had to merge, some had to be bought over, and the rest. But you see, if you don't have adequate capital, there is no way you can, your services can be effective in that sector. So really, government should look at way of increasing the capital requirement for microfinance institution. And in addition to that, there should be proper monitoring and supervision by regulatory agency on microfinance bank. You find out that a microfinance bank or institution will go 2-3 years without any inspection by regulatory agents, none whatsoever, not from CBN, not from NDIC, and other regulating agencies. So they tend to have a free, a free day, doing whatever they want, and giving them the opportunity to even digress from their core objectives because of poor regulation. So what I would recommend is the regulatory agencies should really live up to their responsibilities in ensuring effective supervision and oversight of these microfinance institutions, because most of them, because of that poor supervision, they tend to do other things outside their core objectives. So these are two things if being brought. Well, there may be training again. Then the CPN and other regulatory agencies should train the staff and operators in the microfinance service provision, because mostly they don't have the capacity to, or they can't afford to train themselves effectively. You find out the cost of training, it's when you look at it and consider their capital, you find out it becomes a big burden to them. So CBN can intervene by providing periodic trainings to the microfinance institution and operators in that subsector. That will go a long way in seeing that the microfinance institution remains focused on its core objectives. I think with this, we will see improvements in the operations of microfinance, and of course, the impact will be felt at the low level of the pyramid, so to say.
Now, still speaking on governmental involvement in all of this. Of course, we know that small and medium scale enterprises make up for a large portion or a large ratio of Nigeria's GDP. Now, would you say there is need for some kind of collaboration between stakeholders in this sector with government, NGOs, and even those in the private sector, to come together to enhance the impact of micro lending in Nigeria? I think Mr. Suleiman is having some challenge with his connection. Mr. Suleiman, can you hear me, please? Okay. Well, it's time to go on a short break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation with Mr. Suleiman. Stay with us.
My name is Olatunji Shoti. I'm a performing artist and, television radio presenter and a university lecturer, Unilag. Keep watching Sook News.
Hello everyone, my name is Kenny Black, Africa's finest music comedian, and you're watching Sook News. If you're not watching Sook News, I pity you, but keep watching Sook News.
Hello everyone, my name is Timidakolo and you're watching Sook News. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Wisdom Oluwaseun Okoko, co-founder Orbit Africa Properties. I'm live at Sook News. Guys, keep watching Sook News for everything that concerns business, economy, politics, news. Sook News is your station.
Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you are on to Souk News.
If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it because this is Souk News.
Shout out to Souk News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
Souk News. Here's the Souk News who had the courage to transcend a locked off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure, Souk News. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. You're still watching Business Insight right here on Souk News. And of course, we are discussing micro-lending as it impacts the Nigerian economy. We still have virtually our guest, Mr. Suleiman Ibrahim. Mr. Suleiman, hope you're still with us.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay. Now, I was saying earlier, still on the governmental involvement in all of this. Of course, you know, SMEs make up a very large portion of Nigeria's GDP as we have it today. So now, would you say there is need for some kind of collaboration of government with other private sectors as well as NGOs even, you know, to further enhance the impact of micro-lending in Nigeria?
A collaboration between government and private sector can come in the form of the government coming with good regulations, policies, friendly policies that can make business, microfinance businesses thrive in the economy. Government coming in to float microfinance, well, although they did with NISAL, but the experience is not so good. We know what NISAL has been going through, and even the microfinance bank floated by NISAL. We know the challenges they have been facing. So this is typically, I think, in my own thinking, an industry that should be left in the hand of the private sector. Government can come in with fair policies and regulations that can make these businesses thrive. Yes, for NGOs and other maybe development partners, yes, of course they can. And in fact, they have been doing. There are some foreign agencies who collaborate with local NGOs here in Nigeria to float microfinance institutions, not necessarily banks this time, microfinance institutions that provide some kind of quasi financial services to cooperatives for economic empowerment, but mostly not through loans, but through grants. When they screen and subject the prospective beneficiaries to some tests and assessments, those that are successful may be granted some form of grants that will economically empower them. So yes, collaboration between NGOs and private sector and government in the terms of regulations, it's very, very important, and it can really improve the microfinance subsector. So it could be a welcome development, really, and we should encourage NGOs to get and organize and arrange themselves in such a way that they can get grants from international donors. And those grants can now be extended to those people that are considered the economically active poor, those that are living below the poverty line, but are striving to empower themselves and to get economic emancipation. So NGOs have a large and a big role to play in getting those set of people to some economic liberalization, if there is any word like that. So like you said, yes, collaboration will be a welcome development for the microfinance subsector.
Fantastic. Now, Mr. Suleiman, let's look at the aspect of technology. What role can technology play, in form of mobile banking and digital platforms, basically? So what role can they play in expanding access to financial services and promote financial inclusion for the population of Nigeria?
Yes, technology is playing a very important role right now because you see, most of the fintechs that you see around, they just obtain the microfinance bank license and they are off into business. From the comfort of your house, the comfort of your office, you can actually sit down and access a loan. Even though that loan, may not be for a microfinance reason, may not be for people in that subsector, but technology really has solved the problem. So in the same vein, even within the microfinance subsector, you find out the microfinance institutions now have some of them have the ability to provide such services. You find out microfinance banks now have USSD code where their customers can access financial services even with a phone, with a normal ordinary phone, not necessarily an Android or an iPhone. So technology plays a very important role, and in fact, it's a game changer. If all microfinance banks can have the ability, the financial resources to buy and make use of necessary technology, their customers will really be served just like the traditional banks. Because from experience, I've seen some salary earners given microfinance bank accounts to receive their salaries, simply because those microfinance banks are on any switch in Nigeria. You can get instant transfer. You can make any financial transaction with any electronic device. So they don't care that they are not less. They are less concerned that the banks are microfinance. So long they can provide and meet their expectation, off they go. So technology really provides, it's an avenue where the financial inclusion can really be enhanced, and people will have easy access to those kind of financial services through the use of technology. And before you know it, we will see improvement in financial inclusion, really. Because like I said, now you can sit down on your phone or any electronic device, access loan, check your balance, make transfers, and other services which before they're almost impossible until you have to get to a branch physically to conduct those transactions. So technology has a large role to play. It's just that for microfinance institutions, they may find it a bit expensive considering the capital of their business.
Welcome back, and you are still watching Business Insight right here on Souk News. We still have Mr. Suleiman who has joined us virtually. Mr. Suleiman, are you still with us, please?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay. I was saying earlier, if there are innovative trends emerging, to basically help to ensure that this industry thrives. So I don't know if you could answer that in 1 minute or two, and then you could also give us an insight into how you see the future of this sector. Yes, what are your predictions for the growth and development in the microfinance sector generally?
Like I said, I don't know, it went off. Maybe you didn't get what I said, but technology is a great tool in seeing this improvement in the microfinance services, not only to the customers, but to even those that are outside outside the microfinance, the bottom of the pyramid. With the use of technology, you see that microfinance banks are even encroaching on businesses of traditional banks. You know, you find out they do receive salaries of civil servants and people in the private sector. So as long as they have the ability to get onto the switches where they can receive transfers and make instant transfers and make use of their electronic device, be it phone, laptops, or whatever, to access financial services, you find out that customers really don't care if it is a microfinance bank or any other or traditional bank. They can sign on and enjoy their services. And like I said again, those some of the fintechs you find are operating today, mostly they ride on the back of microfinance licenses. They obtain the licenses of microfinance bank and they go into banking for provision of financial services, usually leveraging on technology. Some don't even have branches, or maybe some just have a small outfit, not a full-fledged branch, and from there they do all they need are the equipment that will put them on those electronic banking platforms, and off they go, they do their businesses. So technology really in fact, it has changed the nature of businesses, not just in the microfinance sector, but also across the banking sector as a whole. Then for the future of microfinance bank, yes, the future is bright because the market there is very wide. It's a pyramid. So the bottom, it's where it is the widest. So there are lots of small businesses, small unstructured businesses at the bottom of the pyramid. So the opportunities are there. And even the traditional banks now have realized that there are opportunities there. You see them now operating in that subsector. We have a case of some commercial banks operating microfinance banks. So, whatever you see a commercial bank is doing definitely is profitable. So the future is bright. There are a lot of opportunities there. If only operators in that sector can get the necessary skills, the necessary technology, and bring down their cost of operation, because the basic challenge there in that subsector is the income there is very low. I mean, you are dealing with people with very low income. So the income there is low. What will only make you profitable is if you can have a very high rate of patronage or high turnover. So if you can bring your cost of business down and have a business model that really emphasizes efficiency, block loopholes, and also look at how you can get minimal or reduce to a minimal level the rate of default, microfinance banks or microfinance institutions have very, very bright future in Nigeria, despite all these challenges. So like I said, in a nutshell, the future is bright for them. There is a lot of markets, a lot of opportunities there, which are virtually untapped. We find out we still have areas in Nigeria where you don't have any single financial institution. A lot of economic activities are happening there. Like our rural markets. Up here in the north, you find out a market with a turnover, maybe a net turnover of over 500 million, and find that in that village, there's no one single financial institution. So you can imagine if a microfinance bank
Yes. All right.
would go there and establish.
We would have to we would have to call it a day on the show. Many thanks to you, Mr. Suleiman Ibrahim, for your time on the show.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be on Soap News.
Thank you so very much. On that note, we draw the curtain and we say a big thank you to you, our viewers, for taking out the time to watch us today. Many thanks to you. And of course, Business Insight makes a return tomorrow, same time, same station. Do not miss it. And I'm Adesua Iromosele. Thank you and good morning.